Every morning, usually sometime between 5 and 11 a.m., we release our Central Indiana Scoreboard Show. It's similar to ESPN Radio Sports Center, but focuses on the Pacers, Fever, Colts, IndyCar, and the best college and high school sports covers in Central Indiana. Please join us for your daily audio sports section.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Gregg Doyel.
Welcome, NBA fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report and John Robertson's NBA Playoffs Report. Today is May 31st, 2025. I'm your host, Gregg Doyel, at headquarters in Jeffersonville. And on the Riverside app, I'm joined, of course, by John Robertson. And with us today is Will Retherford to preview a little bit of the Pacers-Knicks Game 6 and talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the Western Conference Championship. Producer Susie is in the control room. Before we get going, guys, just want to let everybody know that our YouTube page, Central Indiana Sports Report, it's very easy to find. It is about to improve. We're about to start having lots of video there. It's our hub. Please go subscribe there. Also, after tonight's Pacers-Knicks Game 6, John and Will be back, along with Mike Rich, to talk about the Pacers Game 6 performance, and we're hoping it's a good one. John, Will, welcome.
Morning.
Bright and early, starting our day right.
All right, so the Oklahoma City Thunder won the West, and they did what championship teams do in Game 5s when they're up 3-1. And they stepped on the Minnesota Timberwolves' throats, and now they're the Western Conference champions. And I think I saw their 1-6 odds to win the championship now, John? Something like that?
I can pull it up. I don't have it in front of me.
Something like that.
They're definitely the favorites. The last time I checked, before the Pacers lost Game 5, Oklahoma City was like -3 something, 345. So, but you're right. They definitely did step on the necks of. They left no doubt in that game. That's one thing that they did.
Well, I know we talked after Game 4, and you were not that impressed with the Thunder. But after Game 5, you had to be a little bit by their mentality to come out and just take it to them.
I think the situation was a little different. The Timberwolves they had no business being there. If the Western Conference shook out, they showed they that wasn't a team that belonged in the conference finals. And the Thunder did play at home and had the backing of their city, and they stepped on their necks and they took care of business the way that you say championship teams do. But I don't know. I still think that. Feel confident that if the Pacers win this series, that the Pacers will beat the Thunder, and I don't think the Knicks have a snowball's chance in hell of competing with the Thunder at all. None.
John, we've been talking about this since before the playoffs. The Pacers, if they can get into Game 6 and 7, can really wear down teams. Does that start tonight?
Yeah, I think they come out way faster tonight, and I think they know that's what they got to do. I think they'll come in and they'll just keep the foot down the whole time, and they'll just. I don't know if it'll be as bad of a throttling as Oklahoma City gave Minnesota, but I think that they'll win by at least 8 or 9.
Wow,
That's
I'm
not
not
what
as confident as you are.
that's not the Vegas line, but that's what I think is going to happen.
I think that there is, whenever a team like the Knicks does what they did in Game 5, I think there is an emotional dump that comes from that. They put all of their eggs in the basket. They had to win that game. You're pitching like it's Game 7 now. Your starter's going out on 3 days rest, and sometimes he has it, sometimes he doesn't. I think that the Knicks you're going to see the fatigue. If not physically, mentally. I think you're just going to see the mental fatigue of them having to play with their coats on fire essentially for a week, which is incredibly hard to do. It's draining even for professionals. The travel, you got to take it all into account. I think the Pacers take care of business because, quite frankly, they should. Like, it is in the Pacers' favor to take care of business tonight. And if the Knicks pull it off, then I think the Pacers laid the giant egg.
After what happened on Thursday night, I'm a little less confident. A lot of times in series, teams figure somebody out, and if they figured out how to slow down Tyrese Halliburton to a pedestrian point guard, the Pacers are in trouble, aren't they, John?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it all runs through Halliburton, right? Like how he leads the team is going to be how the team goes. Pascal's great, but like having to post up the entire night is not what the Pacers do the best. You know, he gets lots of points and plays well down there, but we play best when they're playing fast, transition points, good passes, easy scores. That's what the Pacers, like, you know, golden goose is. If they're not getting those, having to play slow half-court offense is going to favor the Knicks.
Yeah, I saw some numbers yesterday that I think kind of tell a story of how Game 5 went. The Pacers are not going to shoot 40.5% from the field 2 nights in a row. Not going to happen. The Pacers are not going to score 94 points again. That's not
But a
going to
lot of
happen.
that was
That's their
because
lowest
of the
of the
Knicks
total.
defense.
But the Pacers also had 20 plus turnovers, and you can say that the Knicks defense took care of that. It's not like the Knicks suddenly brought this defensive scheme in Game 5 that the Pacers haven't seen before. That's not the jury is at this point. These teams have seen each other so much. It's not like Tibbs just did something just so miraculous that it changed everything. That's
Are
not
you
how
sure?
the game works. I'm positive, absolutely positive. There's only so much you can do. Jalen Brunson is not going to have offensive players shoot 3 of 14 against the whole series. Games 1 through 4, Brunson, his field goal percentage against was 68%. And then all of a sudden, the team goes 3 for 14 against him. That's not because Jalen Brunson suddenly became an All-NBA defender in one night. That's not how it works. It's not necessarily about Tyrese. Tyrese gets, if Nesmith and players hit shots, Tyrese scores 8 points and has 15 assists again. Like the Pacers just didn't hit shots. And shots that Nesmith missed 3 wide open threes that I haven't seen Aaron Nesmith miss in a month. Shots like that. Like it's just the little things like that just that's not going to happen again. And the
I
Knicks only beat them by I don't remember what the final tally was, 17 maybe. They only beat them by that. And the Pacers just are not going to perform like that again, especially not at home.
I want to go back to I agree.
I wish I was as confident as you are.
I don't think it was I agree with Will that I don't think he came up with some miraculous defensive scheme that slowed him up. I think what happened was the Knicks played rough and they were not dirty. I don't want to say dirty. That's not the word I'm looking for, but watch Cat grabbing the wrist and he finally gets called on it. They're just doing little
they
things.
kind of said screw it.
Agreed.
Foul.
Yeah, and I think that rattled the Pacers a little bit, and they were too busy whining to the refs, too busy, crying about it and being flustered, and instead of
looking for contact instead of scoring,
instead of just playing. Like if you think back, if you guys watched the Jordan Last Dance thing, when he talks about the Pistons and getting through the Pistons, he said when they got in Scotty's head, that's when they lost. When they started whining to the refs, that's when they lost. So the next year, when they came in and just played basketball and said, "Screw it, we know they're going to do it." Play through it and don't care, that's when they won. And that's what the Pacers need to do. I think that's what got them the big loss in Game 5.
Yeah, if you don't think sorry, Greg, if you don't think Carlisle's not going to go into the locker room and say the exact same things we're saying, then he is the fluke NBA Finals he won is what it was. Because any coach, I mean, we're novice basketball fans in the sense of the strategy, and we can see it. You don't think that Rick Carlisle doesn't see it? These players don't see it? If the Knicks got the benefit of, it's going to be a new officiating crew, and maybe this officiating crew calls the ticky-tack stuff like that. Maybe that's nipped in the bud in the first, 4 minutes of the game where it's just like, we're not going to give the ticky-tack stuff, and you're not going to be allowed to hold and do things, and that can completely change. If they get Cat and Brunson into foul trouble, which the Pacers have done a good job of doing, really every game until Game 4, they got Cat, they didn't really get Brunson. The Knicks, these role players aren't going to play this good again. The role players are playing really well, but that just doesn't. There's a reason they're role players, and averages balance out, and you're going to see that swing tonight.
I really appreciate you guys talking to me this morning because my thought has been the last couple of days that this team does not have a killer instinct, that they haven't shown me anything that proves to me that they're going to come out and stomp the Knicks.
But look back at the Cavs series. The same thing happened. The Pacers got beat really bad, and they came back and then just stomped them.
Except for that. That was the thing I was going to say. Except for in this playoffs, they've started to do it, and I do think the Pacers are going to win this game. I just don't know why everybody is so confident about it.
I think the Pacers are the better team. Like I think the Pacers are the better basketball team. Like from 1 to 11, the Pacers are better than the Knicks. And every time that Shamit, that Precious Achua, all these guys come in, they're getting more film, they're getting more tape. They're seeing how do we exploit these role players into doing what we want them to do, and that matters. Like the more you get on somebody, the more you're able to show how um, the weaknesses they have that you can use to your advantage. Like coaches and great coaches use all of that to their advantage. I expect to see the rotation be a little different tonight. I think that the Pacers need to do a better job of getting the starting rotation on the Knicks bench. Force Tibbs to play his starters 42, 45 minutes. Like the Pacers have been the better conditioned team. They've worn on the Knicks. You can see it in these late games. Brunson looks like a mummy out there playing
They
basketball.
all do.
Force Tibbs to do that. If you've got Halliburton on the bench, then all of a sudden you see the Knicks roll out their 9 and 10 guys, and they've got to completely bench minutes. Put the starters back in and just try to exploit them, because the longer the Pacers bench stays in the game, especially this series, negative things have happened. Like it's not been good. The plus minuses are not good when the bench is on the floor. And I think that's where, if the Pacers, you want to have this killer instinct, we say, it's like, hey, starters, you need to be prepared to play 45 minutes tonight. Like that's what you mentally need to be ready for. You're in shape to do it. Now we have to just say we're going with our best 5, 6, 7 the whole game, and just show the Knicks that the Pacers want to win.
A couple things a little off topic from the game. Gregg Doyel and Pascal Siakam. I'm not sure if you've seen this story, guys. I think we've all known for about a decade, maybe two, that Gregg Doyel is a giant idiot. But here's my question. Not that the two got into it, because reporters ask dumb questions. It's just the way it is. Sometimes it's going to happen. Not a big deal. But how can Pascal Siakam say, "Who is that guy?" to the Indianapolis Star columnist? How does that happen? The second best player on the second most important team in town doesn't know who the columnist of the Indianapolis Star is?
Well, that's because Gregg's not really a Pacers beat writer, so he's not there all the time. He only shows up when he thinks.
The columnists have always been at all the Pacers games.
I think I read the other day that Gregg doesn't even show up all the time. He only shows up when it's like a big game. I don't like the guy. I think he should have been removed from the Star when he did the thing to Caitlin Clark. At worst, or at best case scenario, he should have been removed from all Pacers sports and entertainment coverage, because, I mean, Fever and Pacers are in the same basket, right? So I can't stand the dude. The dude's all about clickbait. The dude cares about, getting his name out and like being part of the story more than reporting the story. And as a journalism teacher, that just annoys the crap out of me, because, you are supposed to report what's happening, just give the information. You are not supposed to become involved in the story. And he has one in 2023 where he was trying to make a non-story out of a Colts coach wearing the Crucial Catch sweatshirt, and he tried to make it an LGBTQ plus story when it wasn't one. He did the thing to Caitlin Clark when it was, creepy and weird, and then like he has the Pascal thing. So I refuse to give any money or attention or clicks to the Indianapolis Star until he's gone.
I can't believe they can't find somebody who has better priorities for Indiana sports than someone who the second best player on the Pacers doesn't even know who he is. He had to ask 3 times, who is that guy?
Pascal's he's from out of town, so maybe he doesn't read the Indianapolis Star. That's fair. Good for him. Ignoring the nonsense.
Not even about reading it. If I'm the columnist of the freaking Indianapolis Star, you've got to be a presence in the clubhouse. You've got to have every one of those guys' numbers.
Well, what was Halliburton?
You have every one of their phone numbers if you're the columnist.
You should.
Yes.
What was Halliburton's reaction to his dumb question the other night too? He's like, "Oh yeah, sorry." He made a snark. I don't remember what the comment was, but you could tell it was snarky, and he was tired of him. Like, I have lots of dislike for Gregg Doyel. Anyway.
I had a run-in with him once at the IU media room, and if I had been 20 years younger, he would have been in big trouble. Let's just say that.
I think he thinks he's more important than he is. I think Pascal's response, even if he knew who it was the perfect response because Greg cares about ego and more than he cares about anything else. So that how do you hurt somebody who cares about their ego? Just like, who is this guy?
Who is that guy?
Yeah, I think it was a slight more than anything. I think it was just a jab. I think it was a jab at him and a disrespectful, like, Pascal probably knows who he is. Like, he's been here a year and a half. Like, he probably knows who he
Right.
is, and he's
But
saying it to.
but even if you have to say who is that, he should be ever present in those guys' lives. That's what the columnists of the Indianapolis Star, same with the Colts and IU basketball. That's his job. He should be ever present in their lives. That's the job of the columnist in the town.
I interpreted it more as a like, who is this guy to question? Like, I'm giving this answer, and like, who is this guy to sit here and kind of just disrespect and try to body bag me? And in this way, he's a columnist. He gives his opinion on things. I think the issue is that his opinion is wrong essentially every time. And the guy needs his ass beat. He just asks stupid questions. He says dumb shit, and it just it's sad because he is a taint on the Indianapolis media altogether. They see Gregg Doyel's name on story, and it's like, who's this doucher that said what he said to Caitlin Clark, and there's just always an issue with him. I don't know how the Star keeps him employed because people don't like the guy. I mean, he is a net negative for the Indianapolis Star, in my opinion. He doesn't bring anything. Nobody reads his stuff. Nobody thinks he's cool,
or they hate read it. I mean, that's the thing. They might be getting hate clicks.
Yeah, and I. It's just it's an embarrassment, and maybe I don't even think the question was. It's not that the question was wrong. It is, I think, okay to question, hey, you're up.
Absolutely.
It's game 5. Like, why is, you say that they just, they out hustled us. Well, why? Like,
why?
Why are you being out hustled? Like,
exactly.
That's a question. It's just, it's the way that he asks. It's the tone. It's just condescending, disrespectful. And that's what players ultimately don't like about him. And John, I do remember Tyrese kind of going at him. I can't remember which. Maybe it was after he didn't show up for media or something, after the Cavs lost, and then came back after they won, and Doyle pressed them. But regardless, it's just sad that situation has to happen.
Yeah, the Indianapolis Star had some amazing columnists over the years, and it's really sad to see where it's gone. I promise you that Bill Benner, when he was the columnist at the Indianapolis Star News, I can't remember which one he was, would have been at every Pacers game. What's the biggest event in town? That's where he was. That every night. And the columnist at the city's newspaper has to be ever present and known and working anyway, let's just move on from him to another knucklehead who I actually will always love, and his name is John Mellencamp. And love his music, genius lyricist, who's just a complete moron. Has he never watched sports? Does he not know what it is? What we do in sports is talk trash, especially when you have rivals. And he's going to criticize Pat McAfee for talking trash. What have we come to?
Well, the best thing about that whole story, in my opinion, is the Cougs is known as being like the nicest, most welcoming person in the world. Not at all.
Not at all.
Right. So then he comes on and gives this like holier than thou rant about Hoosier hospitality on possibly the worst graphic design I've ever seen. And then like the best part that I was getting to is the replies are just nonstop. Here's examples of why you should have no opinion on Hoosier hospitality because you are garbage. Like you are not who we want representing Indiana. So that was my favorite part of that story.
Again, I love him. Genius musician. I will always love his music. American icon, as far as that goes. But
I think he's all right.
The last 20 years or so, it's been hard to defend him.
I listened to him back in the 80s when I was a kid and he was on the radio, but like I'm going to say I don't think he's all-time classic or
listen again,
great.
He's a genius.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously a few stone throws younger than you guys are, so I never grew up really with Mellencamp's music. As far as, I mean, we had it was on the
Of course.
radio, parents listened to it, like, but I don't necessarily connect with it. I find it so disappointing. This is just a classic case of like what the hell is wrong with you? Like one, the fact that he had the audacity to put what he did on social, it was just grandstanding at its best. At its
Exactly.
best,
Exactly.
like why? Why
I'm
the
better
fact?
than you.
I have absolutely. I don't feel bad for Ben Stiller and Timothy Chalamet. Like you walk into the
No.
Lions Den, you have to like it's going to be heat. Like the fact that Knicks fans were at that game courtside
And
to begin with is honestly a question all in of itself that they had those tickets. That shouldn't happen.
well,
One,
you have secondary markets now. There's nothing you can do about it.
Pat McAfee is the best representative in media of this city of Indianapolis and in Indiana, really in general. Whether you love him or hate him, I listen to Podcast One. I'm an avid listener. I love Pat McAfee. I think that he has been a huge net positive for this state and this community. But it's just things like this. It's like we have a few people that really sit here and broadcast out what this state is about, and then you just dump on that guy. Like, does Mellencamp even live in Indiana anymore? I
He
mean,
hasn't
He has a
forever,
house in Bloomington. He has a
but
house in Bloomington, but he doesn't live there. I don't
he's
think.
lived in LA forever.
it's
But
just baffling to me.
so the thing I replied to one of Ben Stiller's tweets, well, and he liked it. So I think that maybe it's a valid point. Is neither one, like Pat didn't start this whole thing. Who was the Jimmy Fallon did the thing on Saturday Night
Yeah.
Live, or not Saturday Night, on his show where it was Chuck Lofton and Indianapolis 500 Tire are going to be at the track compared to in New York you have all these lists of celebrities. So that sets the tone for celebrities versus Indiana right off the bat. So Pat's just playing into the scheme that's already been put in place. So to come at
Mike Lee started it in 1994.
well, I mean that's fair too, but I mean, but the start of the series when Jimmy Fallon puts that skit out and it made the rounds on social, so people saw it and they're like, "You're mocking Indiana for not having any celebrities." Okay, so then that becomes a point of attack for the Hoosiers.
Here's the bottom line. Ben Stiller cried about this. If I was a Pacers, I once was a Pacers fan at a Bulls game. And it was back when, well, it was when Jordan was on his hiatus, but it was Scottie Pippen against Reggie Miller. And Reggie Miller hit a last-second shot to win the game. And I, for the first time all night, because I'm always respectful of the home crowd, I actually jumped up and cheered. And everybody threw things at me. And I thought it was hilarious. If you don't think it's funny that you're being attacked in the other team's arena, that's what sports is. It's hilarious when that happens. Ben Stiller's tweet, and he's been a pretty good sport about it since he did it. His tweet of "Why are they attacking me?" Come on, give us a break.
I mean, I think it's so funny that an actor can't see somebody putting on a show. I mean, that's exactly what that was. Do you think Pat McAfee actually dislikes Ben Stiller? Like, do you actually think that he thinks that Ben Stiller and Timothy Chalamet are SOBs? No, he doesn't think that at all. In fact, if you listen to the podcast and the show, he's done nothing but love Timothy Chalamet since he came on College Game Day and was a sports aficionado, really, for a lack of a better word. But once again, it's the Stiller thing. Like, Stiller did this. He absolutely caused this because he could have just not gotten on Twitter and laughed it off and been like, yeah, that's good gamesmanship. Like, that's gamesmanship to do what he did. And
then this podcast would be over right now and we'd be talking about something else.
Exactly. And it's so I think that Ben Stiller is just as a culprit in this whole thing as Mellencamp, because Ben Stiller doesn't go cry wolf and act all high and mighty. Mellencamp doesn't do what he does. And I don't know. I lost a little respect for Ben Stiller too, because I just think that's just soft ass shit is what that is. That is just soft to its core. Especially when you're in the public profile. It just sad. It's just sad.
I kind of respect Knicks fans and guys like Spike Lee and Ben Stiller who cry, make it a lot harder to respect Knicks fans. Thanks so much to John and Will for getting up so early in the morning on Saturday to talk about the NBA playoffs. And thank you for listening. Please do us a huge favor if you like these podcasts and share them with your friends and family. We could use the help, and if you're willing to help, we will accept. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.